Good morning, everyone. Tammy and I are at the United States Air Force Museum near Dayton, Ohio. This is the walkway up to it, and Memorial Park is out there. We've been here a few times when we lived here in Ohio, but it's been several years since we've been here, so we'll see what's changed. But it's a really nice place. So come along with us as we tour the United States Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. Well, Tammy and I are inside the museum, and it seems a lot has changed since we've been here, but this is the early flight, and that is a wind tunnel, believe it or not, made out of wood. I'll let you see the plaque. Now this is a huge museum, so we're not going to take video of everything, otherwise this thing would be 5 hours long, but they've got it really nice laid out. They've changed a lot of things. So everything is in one place, so you don't have to take a bus across the base to get to the presidential planes. But well, I'm telling you, this is one of the premier Air Force bases, well, the Air Force Base Museum. But we'll bring you along as we see interesting stuff. So come along and enjoy it with us. You got to see this other wind tunnel here. These are something else. Up there is Baron von Richthofen. Snoopy and the Red Baron, right? This is really cool. I'm talking about flying by the seat of your pants. Pretty huge airplane. The first bomber produced in large numbers. 1920. Wow. Maximum speed 99 miles per hour. Look at that engine up there. There's two of them, one on each side. Dang thing is huge. And look, foldable wings. You see that wing? It's cut. It's folded backwards. You can see just how wide the wing is with it folded out. Next to the starboard side engine there. And Tammy's over there by a gyroplane. Everywhere you look, there's something here. So, you know, you just gotta take your time. Look at that thing. Wow. £609 at 100 miles an hour. Okay. We were in the early flight in World War I era.
I just looked and I just got in there and looked and I couldn't see.
Now we're moving into the World War II era of the museum. Should be interesting. World War II section of the museum. So here will be all the warbirds from World War II. This is the Pearl Harbor beginning of it. You see the palm tree there. There's lots of information panels explaining the whole happening of Pearl Harbor. And so this should be a pretty interesting section. And you're going to have to look everywhere for these aircraft. They're hanging from the ceiling. There's a P-40 right there. But as we find some interesting airplanes, we'll bring some video to you. And there's examples of ordnance bombs. Get an idea of the bomb bay. It's nice the way they have these laid out. You can get up close to them. The Flying Tigers. Mostly American, all volunteers. And that was pretty much the first aircraft, the P-40, that met the Japanese at Pearl Harbor. It wasn't in the same class as the Japanese Zero, but they figured out how to fight the Japanese aviators. So, and there were many more planes to be developed after that. Down there, you can see a B-17. What's that? Yep. There's a glider. I don't know exactly what this airplane is, but it looks very similar to the one that, and here's to the ladies who ferried the aircraft during World War II. But this looks very much like the one that Amelia Earhart flew. And here's the B-24, which I believe they called the Liberator. And I think they flew mainly out of the Middle East during World War II. I'm not quite sure about that, but you can see a damaged propeller blade and an engine. Yes, it is called the Liberator. North Africa. Every kind of aircraft that you can imagine is here. But, and here's the Memphis Belle. Now, I don't think this is the original Memphis Belle. I think it is actually in Memphis. But we'll see. Can you imagine 25 combat missions? And at the time, you were lucky to make 10, maybe. The plaque says it is the original Memphis Belle. It was in Memphis, and it sat there for many, many years, deteriorating. And after many years of painstaking restoration, they've brought it here to the National Museum, which is probably a good thing. But this is some kind of airplane. The ball turret. It is something. A look up inside the bomb bay of the Memphis Belle. They've done an outstanding job restoring this. But incredible airplane. Anybody who's ever watched World War II movies or done any reading on the bombers, I've heard about the Norden bomb site. It was an absolute secret. And it worked very well from all reports. So that's it. That's the Norden bomb site. A lot of times, if the airplane was going to crash or something, they would take it out and throw it out of the airplane, preferably in deep water. This is a really beautiful stained glass window I'll get you closer to it so you can read it. Beautiful, beautiful window. And it is right behind the Memphis Belle. You can't go into any of these aircraft museums without looking at the P-51 Mustang. I would say, in my opinion, it's the airplane that changed the game. During World War II, closer to the end of the war, but still, they could escort the bombers long range into the targets and back. Prior to that, they couldn't. And they were a good match for the German aircraft. Of course, you got to show a C-47. They were the workhorse of transportation for paratroopers and to snatch the gliders up there. And, oh my. And this is interesting. A V-1 rocket from Germany. And back there is the V-2 that terrorized London. I mean, the damn thing is huge. The very first of what you might say was the missiles, the V-1 and V-2. Sorry about the text messages, but the V-1. The engine is that thing on the back. I can't remember now what it actually used for fuel, like kerosene or something like that. But of course, this big honking thing was the V-2 rocket. And most of the German developers ended up working for NASA. There's a very good display of the train cars that were used to transport people, human beings, from where they lived to the death camps. There's a little plaque over here that I'll capture. Those who don't learn from history are condemned to repeat it. So I guess enough said on that. The Spitfire. You can't think about World War II without thinking about the Spitfire and the Battle of Britain. But, of course, this has U.S. markings, but... And there was a lot of American aviators who went to England before the U.S. got into the war and flew with other nationalities during the Battle of Britain. As far as the German airplanes, you can see the Comet. It was a rocket-powered airplane. Of course, once the rocket had used up its fuel, it basically became a little glider back. But you can see it here. Of course, I'm casting a shadow and everything, but there's lots of information panels here. And of course, over there was the first jet fighter, German. But the production was never very high, and there wasn't enough of them to really make that much of a difference in the war by that time. Cannon. Right there. Here's the information panel on the Junkers. Yep. We are in the Southeast Asia part of the museum and the Korean. And of course, nothing is complete without talking about a B-52. So we're going to tour the Southeast Asia section and the Korean section. And we see something interesting, I'll include it on the video. But this museum is huge. This is a B-52D. And ladies and gentlemen, the B-52 is still flying. I don't know if I had a shot of it, but this is the A7. This is the A7D, the Air Force version. And the one I worked on was the A7E. But magnificent airplane, in my opinion, of course. I'm sitting in the cockpit of an A7D, which was the Air Force version, and I worked on the A7E. You can see all of the panels down here, that they're decals. Actually, the instruments have all been removed, so there's actually no instruments in it. The Air Force had all the engine instruments on the right side, and the Navy's were on the left. And I'll let you think about that for a minute. Why was the Navy's engine gauges on the left? It's because they did a left echelon, a left turn, whenever they were approaching the carrier for landing. and so the pilot could look down and see the engine instruments. He didn't have to actually change his head movement to see the engine instruments as he was turning left to come into the carrier. But you can see all of the things that were down here. This would be the canopy release. I haven't set in one of these since 1979. But of course, the stick. This brings back a lot of memories. They have a C-124 Globemaster here, and we can walk up inside of it. So here we go. We're going to take a stroll through a Globemaster. If you ever watch John Wayne movies, the movie The Hellfighter had one of these in the movie where they were bringing in new supplies for the well to blow out the fire. Walking up into the cargo area, the jump seats. Actually, in a C-130 I flew in, we were strapped into these jump seats when we were flying over to Clark Air Base in the Philippines in a 130. This has an iconic smell of an airplane.
Almost the jet fuel smell.
Yeah, minus the jet fuel smell, but
It reminds me of the jet fuel.
this is the inside of the cargo bay. It's kind of neat. They'll let you come inside here. Let me tell you, these cargo jump seats, they are not that comfortable. I'm here to tell you. And there's a lot of noise when these things are flying. I remember when we were in the C-130 flying to Clark, we were close to the gyros, and the hum of that gyro, all that flight, just, well, we had little earplugs they give us, but it still didn't make any difference. Those gyros make a lot of noise. And you can see the huge cargo doors on this thing. But this is really neat. They let you walk up inside of it. I remember seeing one at Pima when we were there. Of course, they're all out in the desert. And that climate is such that the airplanes don't weather that bad, but making them on. But I'll give you a sense of the front of it. The Globemaster. We're in the Cold War section of the museum now. And of course, there's the SR-71. And over there is the B-1. There's this, I'm sorry about the pan, but there's this every kind of airplane. This place is just enormous.
Jam-packed.
Here's a better look at the B-1. Just behind it is the B-2 that we just walked around. But this hangar is enormous. This is the new hangar they just built. But anyway, this is the B-1B. And right behind it is the B-2. And there's just one back there is an A-10. It's just a huge, huge place. So I can't, like I said, I can't show you everything, but if you're ever in this area, it's well worth a stop. Here in Dayton. Huh?
It's free.
It's free, yes. But back there is a stealth fighter. And a lot of these airplanes used to sit outside, and they built this new hangar section to keep them all inside. There's a MATS flight, military air transport flight aircraft. And there's the Osprey. No, it's just huge, folks. I'm telling you. And there's a missile section here too. Again, we're in the Cold War section right at the moment. But there's Mom walking down through there, so we'll catch up to her. The F-117. Mean looking, isn't it?
Steve's standing next to the stealth. I guess he
Good.
said, yeah.
Things have certainly changed from the days when I was in the Navy with the A-7 to the rest of the airplanes we had in the Navy, like the Phantom. Things have sure changed in technology from then till now. It's incredible. This whole place is incredible, huge. If you're ever in this area, you got to come to the Air Force Museum. Like we said, it's free. Nice little gift shop, the nice memorial park outside, a lot of volunteers that you can talk to about the history of the museum, the history of the airplane. Some you can go inside. There's trainers here that you can pay a little bit to actually being a trainer. Cockpits that you can sit in, simulations. It's an incredible museum. Well done. There's an Eagle, the F-15. And of course, does that look familiar? Well, that's the Russian version. Su-27. But, oh my. You could spend 2 days in this place. The tail of that mat flight goes all the way up to the ceiling. And there's a C-130. Just incredible. This is the missile section. And on the other side of this is the presidential planes. But we're up here at the cafe. We're gonna get something to drink and maybe some chips, but here's a good venue. Over there, you got the B-2. Over there, the B-1. The SR-71 right there in the middle. 47. Oh, just everything. This is a huge, huge hangar. And the U-2 is up there. We're up here on the second floor in the missile section of the museum, and the presidential section is on the other side. We're at the cafe that's up here on the second floor right now. But the museum has really changed since the last time we were here, and it is just outstanding. Just outstanding. And we got a shuttle. The fuel tanks. Back there is the Valkyrie is back there. This is the space exploration and presidential planes are back in that section, back in there. So we have to go up into the space. I guess I should rephrase this. I think this is it's not an actual shuttle, it's a trainer. So I correct myself, this is not an actual shuttle, but a trainer. But we shall see. All kinds of neat things. There is a shuttle down in Houston, but it's simulation of the cargo bay. It's kind of neat. Of course, from up here, you're a little higher, you get to see lots of good stuff. You even got a flying spaceman over there. Pretty cool. Space research and development, and the presidential planes are all back here. And so you can go up in these, some of them I think. So we'll take you into some of them. And well, that is weird. NASA plane. I never seen a prop on the back. Of course, that tilts down, I'm sure, whenever it's flying. XC-142A. Certainly weird. Here's the Independence, which Truman flew around in. And this one has a picture of Roosevelt, probably when he flew over to Asia to meet with the generals over there. And then here's the Air Force One. But we'll bring you along as we go inside. This is the Independence. Served as Truman's airplane. And so the walkway narrows to this width, so we're gonna go up inside it here. Duck. White deck. Of course, they've got plexiglass panels here, so you can't touch anything. Which nobody should be touching anything anyway. Just some seats. Of course, if you think about how long ago this was.
It's a squeeze. It's a one-way trip.
There's the bathroom. Bunks. Tables, cards, presidential cards.
Is it worth seeing?
I'm sure those probably folded down.
I would
But
say.
no, it's a little different.
Right.
Huh?
It has 3 seats in that.
Yeah. Ooh, kitchen.
No, it's not. Oh, yeah, it is.
Kind of neat.
So I've been here, I've been there.
Like probably coffee and drinks of all kinds. Obviously not very big. Chairs, seats, table. This will be the presidential table with a telephone and such, but these were the low-tech days. Quite something for its day. This is John F. Kennedy's plant. There's lots of information panels here. Here's the next one. There's the flight deck. Lots of gadgets. Communications. Galley. Early microwave, yeah. Seats, tables. Of course, everything's got plexiglass on it, so you can't touch anything. But side seating. Mini conference rooms. And telephones. Television. Small meeting rooms, conference rooms. Huh? Yes, I know. That's where it happened, right there. It's really narrow in here. There's chairs and seats on either side. Some have tables, fold-out tables. Another kitchen here. And lavatories. It's a tail of the airplane.
Sure they don't have plastic though.
Well, I'll tell you, Tammy and I have been here for 3 hours, and we still didn't see all of it. We're going to kind of make our way out. The B-47 we're walking past here. It's just incredibly huge place. We didn't see all of it. But we're going to make our way back to the entrance. We still got an hour to get back to the campground where we're staying. But you can spend a whole day in here, let me tell you. Especially if you wanted to really get a lot of detailed information. And
Open from 9 to 5.
yep, they're open from 9 to 5. And there's the B2, and behind it is the B1. You get a better view of that from the cafe, which is up there on that floor. You can go up there and then get a good idea of what you want to look at down below, but there's this, it's so fascinating. So we're going to head towards the gift shop and then out to the parking lot. So we wrap up our tour of the Air Force Museum in Dayton. I just saw that walking out the door and thought it was a good thing to end with.